Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Kermitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week, for the first time since October of 2022, we are here to discuss an episode of The Muppet Show. Specifically, a brand new episode of The Muppet Show, making its debut on Disney Plus and ABC on February 4th, featuring special guest star Sabrina Carpenter. Sam, they did it. They made a Muppet Show.
Yeah, they did. I don't know what to say without giving away any of my thoughts about it, but they did indeed do it.
Well, yeah, we'll get into specific thoughts here pretty soon, but I think this is something that, people have been clamoring for years.
Yeah.
People have been saying it's the thing that will save the Muppets. Whenever a new series comes out, they're like, just do the Muppet Show.
Mm-hmm.
So Disney listened, I guess, and said, okay, here you go. We did a Muppet Show.
Is this an official episode of the show? Like is this week's Kermitment?
Yes, this is a canonical episode of Kermitment, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
Yes, we are jumping out of the timeline a little bit. We do these flash forward episodes every now and then.
Yeah.
And, loyal listeners might also know that in our last episode, we said the next episode would be a Jim Henson Hour episode with Brian J. Jones. Right. You're getting this instead, which hopefully you also enjoy. That episode with Brian J. Jones will still be happening. That'll be the next episode you'll hear. So it's just a little out of order.
No offense to Brian J. Jones. I do think more people will be searching for an episode about the Muppet Show.
I mean, yeah, presumably.
Yeah.
Again, no offense to Brian, but we got to have our, finger on the pulse of the culture here. And I will say, a lot of people seem excited about this new Muppet Show.
I think so. Or I'm just worried that people haven't heard that it exists, though. Do you think they have?
I don't think enough people have. I think there's something, I don't know, weird going on, for the lack of a better word, where I don't feel like they're doing as much press as I anticipated they would for this. I thought you would see Seth Rogen on Jimmy Kimmel, followed by then Miss Piggy, and then Kermit the next day. Like, they'd do a whole Muppet week or something on Jimmy Kimmel.
Right.
The Electric Mayhem would be the house band or something to, like, use your ABC powers to make everyone watch this Muppet Show. And they're not. They're having Kermit on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, but I believe that's the only, like, shared public press thing that's happening.
There's something so, like, promotion proof seemingly about new Muppets, where it's like I'm thinking even back to, like, Holy Moly or something like that, where it's like they never put their whole ass into it, like Disney is never, and I think I feel this in this special a little bit with, like, they only made one of them. There's parts where it kind of feels like maybe they should have given them a little bit more money. They're not promoting it, but it would be the easiest thing in the world to promote. They own all entertainment, and they did this with Electric Mayhem, and they did this with everything, where it's just like, why? I feel like there's a lot of stuff where like you'll suddenly start seeing, like, some Marvel superhero around more often, and then, like, 2 years later there'll be a movie and you'll be like, oh yeah, I've been subconsciously trained to watch this movie for the past 2 years or something. But with Muppets, it's just like, oh shit, we forgot to put up a billboard or something like that.
I do wish they would have done more for Muppets Mayhem, but it makes more sense to me for Muppets Mayhem because that's a little bit of a harder sell.
Right.
Like, it's the, hey, you remember these guys? They have a show. Yeah. Whereas this is, hey, you know the Muppet Show? And to that question, most people can say yes. And just that concept, and maybe this is the problem, is they're assuming this, like, just that concept is really exciting on its own. And so maybe they're just thinking that saying that out loud does enough of the work. But
I guess so.
Again, if you had multiple Muppets on the same night on Jimmy Kimmel, or you had, I don't know, like a whole cast of Muppets come out like they do with the Avengers. Like I feel like they do a week of Avengers Endgame promo with various incarnations of the cast coming out every day. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to make you as much money as Avengers Endgame. I understand. But if you want it to do well, you want to see honest reaction to it, you got to put something behind it. And I feel like there's some things I'll talk about with like my feelings about the show that I understand why they're not doing that. But I also wish they would be doing that.
Okay, interesting.
Something I'll say is like, they're not really calling this a special. They're not saying tune in for this big one time only yada yada whatever.
Right.
They're kind of just saying watch the Muppet Show. And I think that's interesting. Is it the right choice? Who knows? I do think that matches the tone of what we watched.
Yeah. But why didn't they make 5 of them or something? Do you have any speculation about that?
I think originally when they had announced it, I assumed this would be like an hour-long special variety show thing that they were going to bill as a special. The Muppets themselves would be like, hey, here's our Muppet Show special.
Mm-hmm.
And then that would sort of be the, hey, you want more Muppet Show? We'll make more Muppet Show for you. So I am surprised that what we got is an episode of the Muppet Show.
Perfectly episode of the Muppet Show.
Yeah, they did it. They did make an episode of the Muppet Show that feels like they picked up right where they left off, but that's also kind of weird.
It's weird because there's not more of them. And I was like, I was watching it again today, and I was kind of like, this is fine, but I don't really want to watch it again. I want to watch the next episode of it.
I wrote down the same thing, Sam. I said the biggest compliment I think I could pay to this episode is that now that I've watched it multiple times, each time I'm watching it, I keep wanting to get that next episode button to pop up at the end, which unfortunately for right now does not exist.
No one episode of The Muppet Show, even in the 70s, should have the entire fate of the Muppets on it, I don't think.
Well, yeah, which is, I think what, not that it'll doom this necessarily, but I do think just having one, billing it as sort of this special and a pilot, you are putting a lot of pressure on it. And I think nothing could live up to some of that level of hype, but especially a normal episode of The Muppet Show, which again, this pretty much is. You pull any random one, like you said, off the shelf, and you're just like, yeah, here's an old episode of this. We've said something negative about every episode of The Muppet Show.
There's genuinely maybe like 4 episodes that I would say, this is the one you gotta like it, and there were so many episodes of The Muppet Show. The hit rate was horrible, and it's okay. It was still a good show, but it's okay for things for something to be over, and you just go, okay. And that's what The Muppet Show was. Not every episode you stood up and like gave a rousing round of applause. You just watched it every week for 20 weeks or whatever, and you go, I watched a season of The Muppet Show.
Well, and I think we talked about this in our very last episode about The Muppet Show, season 5, that we kind of understood why so many people grew up watching the best of The Muppet Show VHS and DVDs.
Right.
Because that's sort of how The Muppet Show is best, enjoyed later on, is going back to your favorite sketches, your favorite songs, your favorite moments, not necessarily marathon watching every episode back to back to back.
And I kind of felt like this episode sort of tried to very, in my opinion, artificially make that big moment at the end too, where it just was kind of like, I don't know. I'm sure we'll talk a lot about that, but it was like they tried to have their cake and eat it too a little bit, but weren't quite successful with the part at the end where Kermit's like on his knees begging us to keep watching The Muppet Show.
Yeah, let's just get into it, I think, because I think we're dancing around it too much. We've said too many times, like, we'll talk about that. And like, why aren't we just talking about it?
We just got to talk about the freaking Muppet Show.
Let's just talk about the freaking Muppet Show, Sam. So I guess it's kind of redundant at this point, but Sam, what did we watch?
We watched The Muppet Show. It's just called The Muppet Show also, which is like, is it season 6 of The Muppet Show? Is that what they would call it if they made it? Or it would just be The Muppet Show 2026, I suppose.
Yeah. How's this going to show up on Disney Plus?
It would be fun if it was both its own thing and if you could navigate to season 6 of The Muppet Show in The Muppet Show. That'd be kind of cool, right?
Yeah. I don't know if they're officially, I haven't heard anyone say season 6 though. So
Yeah.
I don't think they'll do that, but
Right.
maybe it'll just be like in that little like extras category or something. When you go to the Muppet Show, it's like extras. Boom, 2026.
That's a sad place for it to be, though. Nobody ever looks there.
That's true. They hide the extended Muppet Christmas Carol cut there, and
Yeah.
nobody remembers to find it there. So
Original air date February 4th, 2026. The Muppets are back, baby, and they brought the theater, the theme song, the classic skits, the musical numbers, and the laugh track with them, along with superstar Sabrina Carpenter. In this loving revival of the 70s series, the Muppets are putting on a show just like the old days, but they're well aware that they've been gone for a long time, and they're also well aware that if tonight doesn't go very good, they'll be gone for another long time. So Kermit runs around all night trying to put on the best show possible. Unfortunately for him, he was too polite about turning down acts, and backstage is full of Muppets thinking that they all made it onto the show. In order to trim things down a little bit, Kermit cuts one of Piggy's big numbers, but he's too scared to tell her. She eventually finds out and is pissed, naturally, leading to her forcibly ejecting Kermit from his big duet with Sabrina Carpenter and taking his place. In the end, Kermit's producer skills are very rusty, and he was too indecisive to cut any of the numbers or to even pick one to be the big finale, and he seems kind of generally displeased with how the show went, so he makes a game day decision to bring out the whole cast in a rendition of Queen's Don't Stop Me Now. Meanwhile, Piggy threatens Sabrina Carpenter with a lawsuit for stealing her look, and Maya Rudolph dies from choking on one of Beaker's eyeballs.
what'd you think?
I liked it. I think it was an episode of The Muppet Show. And I watched it the
agree.
first time and I was like, And then I watched it the second time and I was like, okay, I like that. Then I started watching it the third time and I thought, I don't really need to watch this a third time. I want to see the next episode of The Muppet Show, like I said. But yeah, I think there was a couple parts where I would love to know, like, how old are you supposed to be to watch The Muppet Show? Like what's the age range? A 12-year-old? I would like a 12-year-old's point of view. I would like a 22-year-old's point of view. I would like my point of view. I would like my mom's point of view to know,
Right.
like, because I think there were moments where I was like, I'm sorry to say this, cringe. They were a little cringe sometimes, but I don't know if a kid younger than me would like Rizzo singing a Fortnite song, or if they would hate Rizzo singing a Fortnite song.
Don't think it's just called the Fortnite song.
No,
it's
but
a real
it's-
song.
No, but it is all over Fortnite. If you play Fortnite, everybody
but
has the
see,
emote.
No one else who
Yeah.
knows that.
Right. But if you do know that, I feel like that's a coin flip of like, oh, cool, the Fortnite. If you're 12, you go, that's the Fortnite song. If you're 22, you go, ugh, that's the Fortnite song.
What we're
But-
talking about is Blinding Lights by The Weeknd, by the way.
Yeah.
Which is a song that
Yeah.
Rizzo and the Rats and a cool pigeon performed together.
A cool pigeon. He seems like he's maybe kind of dead at the end. But yeah,
They save him though. He's okay.
I had a good time with it. Well, what did you think?
No, I completely agree in that, again, one of the best things I could say about this is that it is an episode of The Muppet Show. It
Yeah.
feels 90% like an episode of The Muppet Show.
Mhm.
I had similar issues with the moment you mentioned earlier about with the Kermit thing near the end. I think that feels a bit like the 2011
Yes.
movie or the 2015
Yeah.
TV show creeping in a little bit. And there are
Yeah.
a couple other moments where, again, 90% of this feels like the Muppet Show. And then a character would say or do something where I'm like, ooh, okay, that's the more recent version of that character right here. And it's not always bad, but it's a little jarring when they're in the same setting.
Yeah.
They've been acting pretty much like the Muppet Show versions of themselves. And then suddenly it's just a completely different out of left field thing where you're like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, I feel like I had it paused at a moment where it was like Pepe and like Johnny Fiamma and like Crazy Harry in the background, and they're in that old theater, and I'm kind of like, should they have built a new theater? Like, should they have had a new set maybe or something? Because yeah, there are
I don't
just
think
like
you
those,
can.
I don't know
think
if you can either.
I think people would be a lot less interested to watch this if it didn't look like the Muppet Show.
Yeah.
I don't think they would call it the Muppet Show. They would do Muppets Tonight. They would do Muppets Now. They would do a whole different thing.
Yeah.
I think that if you're doing the Muppet Show, it has to be in this old theater.
I think I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over the place, but I think the thing that I would have done that I keep thinking about is I would have pretended like they were always doing the Muppet Show. Like you could
Right.
always go to this theater and see them doing the Muppet Show and get rid of this compulsion to be sad sacks that the Muppets have lately, where they're like, oh, we gotta save the show. Why not just be like, we do the show every week?
Well,
now we're on
and-
camera again, but like we're gonna be here no matter what.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the weirder things about this episode is that I like the choice to not over-explain why they're doing this, to
Yes.
not say how long it's been since they did it, to not say why they had to get back together.
You can almost feel them wanting to so bad though. Like,
And I think that Kermit moment at the end
yeah,
feels
too
like it's
far.
from a previous version of the script where that was a
Mhm.
bigger part of the thing, because in that moment he has this energy of, we really got to save the show. JP Gross was here and he said we got to do good or they're going to tear down the theater. Like it had
Yeah.
that energy to it.
Yeah.
Whereas none of the rest of the episode had that energy.
Right. And don't go out at the end of your episode and say, I don't think this was very good. What do you guys think? And have nobody applaud.
That is one of the more bizarre moments because everything before that has been good,
Yeah.
has been well received by the audience,
The audience,
and
you
very
see them
little
laughing
has
their
actually
asses
gone
off.
wrong.
Uh-huh.
Like Gonzo's act went wrong,
Yeah.
but not in a way that the audience seemed too upset by.
No one was killed. It's
But
gonna be
yet in that moment when he's like, I hope you had a good time, like two people are like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what?
You
What
did
just
have a good
happened?
time. We saw you having a good time.
Yeah. We saw your human faces having a good time.
Yeah.
That whole ending felt a little off to me, but I feel like this is a good moment to specify that the negativity I might bring to this episode is going to be nitpicky because
me too.
overall I really enjoyed this. I've watched it 4 times. I enjoyed it every time.
Yeah.
I think there should be more of it. And I hope you're all watching it as well and enjoying it because I do think it's really, really good.
And I think any negativity I bring to it is like, why didn't you make more of this art? Like, why are you
Right.
letting this just like, why'd you just throw this poor, not the most perfect piece of media ever made, but still really fun thing out to like save this whole franchise, you ghouls?
Because I feel like the way TV works now with how long it takes to make things or to get people back in the same room, even if this does incredibly well and they decide, hey, you know what? That did so well. Let's see if we can get the whole same creative team back together to make more of it.
Mm-hmm.
One, who knows if you can get all the same creative people back with Seth Rogen and Alex Timbers, the director, and the same group of people who, all agree to do one,
Yeah.
maybe won't agree to do 20.
Yeah.
So there's that. So the production quality might change, the whatever. But you also have, I don't know, probably 2-3 years before we see that come out.
And that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People will have forgotten this. Like, as good as this is, I don't think people are going to be rewatching it every month, every
Right.
week, whatever, until we get more Muppet Show.
Yeah. It's also funny just to think of Disney being like, we're not going to pay for that. Like, why not?
I can't believe it's only a half hour.
That's crazy.
That was
Yeah.
one of the first things, obviously, pops up. It's like, hey, play. And you're like, wait, 30 minutes? I
Mhm.
thought at least 45, if not an
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing that struck me a little bit as odd. But I also see that if you're trying to, again, recapture the feeling of one episode of The Muppet Show,
Yeah.
you need that time constraint.
Yeah.
And
I
so
suppose if
that's
it's a
why-
proof of concept, you need to
Yeah.
show that you can do that. But I mean, to say nice things, I think so. Well, so one thing I was worried about was, and maybe I already said this, should they have returned to the format of the Muppet Show? And I would have said, no, absolutely not. Outdated. Why would they need it?
Right,
I
like a
feel
variety
very-
show in general in an
Yeah.
old theater.
Yeah, I feel very wrong about that. I think it worked very well. I don't think there was any part there was like not a moment where I thought, why are they making a variety show? That's really stupid. And I think a lot of that is because Sabrina Carpenter is a really great choice for this.
Mhm.
She's very game and fun, and like her storyline with Miss Piggy makes sense. And it's like, oh yeah, she does look exactly like Miss Piggy. Yeah. So I think like the bones of it were so good, and so much of it was so good.
Yeah, something I love that they did, is, which is a part of this whole, again, feeling like just another episode,
Mm-hmm.
is there's not an over-reliance on nostalgia acts or
Yeah.
recurring bits. And I actually think this shows so much restraint.
Mm-hmm.
I think people will be shocked at what isn't in this,
Yeah.
or who doesn't speak in this, or
Yeah.
who gets one small moment, because I think there is a version of this they could have done that feels like they're trying to do a greatest hits, where they throw everything at you,
Right.
with At the Dance and Pigs in Space and everything.
There's
And
no
then you
Swedish
have-
Chef. Fozzie doesn't have a comedy routine.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't get, the only returning bit we see is Muppet Labs,
Mm-hmm.
which I honestly, like, I was surprised. I thought there would at least be a Pigs in Space or a Fozzie comedy bit or something, but they chose not to. And it feels like a choice in the way of, yes, the storyline is Kermit overbooked the show and doesn't have space for all his acts this week, but it also feels like, tune in next week, you'll see that.
Yeah. Then the guy you like will be here. Do you think
Mhm.
Pigs in Wigs was supposed to be a takeoff of Pigs in Space?
I
Or
don't think
not.
so. That felt like its own sort of, let's
That
try
was just
something
kind of an
new and
accident.
different.
Yeah. Right. I mean, just the title though is like the same. It just rhymes.
Yeah,
That's all.
I think it just rhymes.
I think I'd I think I'd lose Pigs in Wigs, honestly.
Yeah, we can go beat by beat a bit through
Yeah.
this. I took the most notes I've ever taken for anything. That obviously
wow.
we don't have to go through that detailed. But I didn't want to miss anything as I was
Uh-huh.
watching it. I wanted to make sure I was watching all those background details. There was one watch I did of this that I probably was hitting pause like every 4 seconds just to be like, ooh, what's that?
Yeah.
Ooh, what's that? Oh, who's that?
It's kind of nice to be able to see it in high def and be able to like pick out who people are instead of just like a little blob of a few pixels.
Yeah, that's the, you look at the old Muppet Show audience shots and you're like, I can't count how many Muppets there are. They're digitally composited, so some are overlapping.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of these are actual Muppets I should know the name of.
Yeah. A lot
Or
of them
how
don't
many
have
there are.
anybody in them and someone's nudging them with a stick underneath the.
Yeah. So yeah, let's get into this episode of The Muppet Show, which opens up with a dark theater, but not too dirty and dusty and run down like you see in the 2011 movie, where it
Mhm.
needs to be basically rebuilt from scratch. This is just, it's been shut up for a little bit.
Has it? Pops is still there. There's still like stuff hanging on the bulletin boards. What have they been up to?
We see the theater all still dark. We see the arches with the lights off. We see Animals' drums undrummed.
Mm-hmm.
We see Beauregard polishing the star on the dressing room door. Kermit walks in, flips on the power switch, which is like the first shot you see in the trailers for this. And the arches light up, the stage lights buzz on, and some dust does blow across the stage as the curtain opens, revealing the ghost light, and also a trap door under the ghost light, which is not utilized in this. But then weirdly, the next shot is from the audience point of view, and the curtain is definitely closed.
That's a Matt kind of thing to notice.
Yes, it was only the second or third time I watched this where I was like, wait a minute, they just showed the curtain opening. This crossfade opening thing, the vibes are a little off. I think, like you said, we don't really know why it's like this or what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Kermit walks down the hallway of like framed celebrity photos of Muppet Show guests from the past, and it just kind of feels, they make a joke about it, but it does feel like a sappy montage.
Yeah. And it does lead into that the show's about to start and the whole audience is sitting in the theater already. So it's the kind of thing you're not supposed to watch 4 times. You're supposed to just watch it once and say, okay, Kermit's back. That's all you got to know.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to necessarily lose that Rolf moment, but
Mhm.
I wonder if you watched this like a classic Muppet Show episode and just started with Scooter knocking on the door.
Yeah. That
Like
would have been
how
nice.
that would feel as an episode.
Interesting. You could do a little edit.
Yeah, I mean that's the easiest edit I will ever do. Remove the first 3 minutes.
It's the first 1 minute and 12 seconds.
I also thought it was a little weird that the framed photos of the celebrities, some of them were clearly photoshopped photos and not just stills from the Muppet Show episodes,
Uh-huh.
which just felt a little odd because you do have that,
Yeah.
and I don't mind if it's not perfectly composited and facing the camera. But seeing a very clearly photoshopped Kermit next to Steve Martin made me think, I bet he never actually met Steve Martin.
Kermit's faking it.
It's like, I hate how bad when in movies or TV shows when they'll show like a photo of two actors, their characters knowing each other in high school.
Yeah.
And so they photoshopped two of like real high school photos of these actors into a photo together, and it never looks good.
Yeah.
Even though that's not that hard of a thing to make look good.
You've probably done it.
That's the thing. That's why I get more mad, is because I'm like, hire me for an hour and I will give you a better Photoshop than that.
Well, sometimes those movies are from like the 80s,
Oh,
so they didn't.
I'm only mad at the ones that came out in like the last 10 years.
Okay. Yes, you're right, though.
It is so shocking to me when somebody's like, oh yeah, it's my high school photo.
Yeah.
And they'll do like a real photo of their face, but something has been added to it, but it never looks real. And I'm like, you had a real photo of them.
Yeah.
Like you had everything you needed to make this look good.
You had movie money. You could have got,
So that just jumped out at me that there was a very clearly photoshopped Kermit in this 70s photo. And I'm sure someone could probably track down even the source of that Kermit photo and be like, oh yeah, that's a 1994 Kermit in a 1970s episode.
Now that you said it, you're the one who's going to do that.
Well, no, because the thing is, I don't remember anything. So somebody probably could look at that and just say, oh yeah, that's from this 1995 photo shoot for this book. I remember that Kermit.
Right. We'll crowdsource it.
So I'll let them jump in.
We'll crowdsource it. That's right.
But there does seem to be a bulletin board, like you mentioned, and next to it, an Employee of the Month plaque that I would love to get a better look at. Does it just say Kermit, 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 Kermit?
Yeah. I mean, is he kind of the only? It's like, who actually works at the theater? Kermit?
Or maybe, yeah. He's the one, again, the thing I'll say I love about this episode, Kermit accidentally is a huge jerk multiple times in this episode.
Yeah, and he's almost horny for a second, too.
Yeah, he considers being horny.
Yeah.
And thinks better of it.
He's like, I work for Disney now. I can't do that.
They're barely letting us get away with this.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe what's on the bulletin board, it's just all his name as like a goal. Like, oh, you want to get on this board? You got to be better than me.
Yeah. You think they went all the way with it and engraved actual names on that Employee of the Month thing, or no?
It looks like there's something on there. So whether or not it's actually got Muppet names on there, or
from a thrift store.
Yeah, or it's a prop from a different Disney show that was in the warehouse, and they're like, no one's going to see it, it's fine. But they do add sort of, lore, I guess, or geography to the Muppet Theater with this moment, because there is a hallway that we now learn leads towards Pop's little window that he sits in. That is this sort of employee, I don't know, a more corporate feeling hallway with the bulletin board, the employee plaque. Like, this feels like back of house.
That was an addition they built on, like in like the 80s, they built on that addition or something. On the outside, it's like glass block architecture or something.
Maybe that's where Kermit's office is. His actual office is like at the end of the hallway with a giant door that no one is allowed to enter. Yeah,
it's the J.P. Gross Memorial Wing. That's what it is.
But after Kermit walks past the sleeping Pops, he sets down his mug, and we pull back to reveal Rolf playing Rainbow Connection on the piano. I'm not sure how Kermit does not see him, but Kermit is surprised that he is there, and asks if he's been playing this whole time. Again, we don't know how long that time is.
And what that implies, is that just meaning for the last 1 minute, or does it mean for the last like 30 years or whatever?
Right.
40
Again,
years?
not important, but it does raise some questions.
Yeah, I just go, the world building thing also leads me back to just like, they didn't need to explain it too much, but I do wish they hadn't pretended like, I'm just sick of them being losers. They need to like visualize success,
I don't know, Sam. I might disagree with you, because the Muppets are kind of always losers.
Well, yeah,
and
but
I think if they're super successful,
they don't need to be successful. They're losers because they've been doing this. They've been here the whole time doing the show. Nobody cared that they were here doing the show. They just need to pretend like everything that they do isn't like make or break. Like, just make one thing where you're not like, we gotta save the show, we're such losers. Because it's sad when it's true. Back when it wasn't true, it was okay to do.
Right. But even back then, like in the original Muppet Show, I feel like Kermit would acknowledge something has gone wrong or whatever, but his attitude was usually like, that's what you get with the Muppet Show.
Yeah, we're
you
crazy
know what you signed up
guys.
for.
That's right. And I don't think they ever did, like, the thing he would worry about was J.P. Gross, like, closing the theater down. But the Muppets in the Muppet Show, I think it was until, like, Muppets Go Hollywood where it was first like, are we big stars, Kermit? And that's kind of, I feel like, where this thing was injected, where it was like, we're just little freaks. But I feel like the Muppet Show's tone is like, yeah, we're the Muppets. We're on TV. Isn't that cool? And they weren't ever like, we gotta save the theater. That happened later.
I think that's where the 2015 energy sometimes seeps in, is because I think there is a couple moments, especially with Miss Piggy, where it does feel like that. Like, this feels like a famous Miss Piggy.
Right.
Not just the way Sabrina Carpenter treats her.
Yeah.
But like the way she behaves in some of her lines. I'm like, oh, this is like the Piggy who was just hosting a late night talk show and is now coming back to the Muppet Show.
She didn't miss a beat. This is not the Miss Piggy's Hollywood depressed Piggy.
No. And I think there's varying degrees with the characters of who is playing, we're just doing this fun thing with our friends, or I'm a famous person who's been doing this for like 50 years.
Yeah.
Well, Rolf reminds Kermit that they are actually doing the show again. And Kermit yells for Scooter, who jumps into action, and we hear our first little bit of a laugh track in this moment. Sam, what do you think of the laugh track?
I'm glad it's back. I think I wouldn't think about it as much if we hadn't just watched Muppet Television and said a million times, we need a laugh track because we don't want Kermit to have to look at us and say, that was funny. You should laugh right now. When I don't know. There's just something about this that all the corniness I was afraid of being like really distracting was just like, all right, there's a laugh track in this. I don't care.
There's a couple moments in that first section with Sabrina Carpenter and Miss Piggy that we're about to get to that it was jumping out at me as like, oh, right. Yes. Laugh track.
Yeah.
But it fades into the background pretty quickly. And I did not think about it for the rest of the episode.
Nope, I did not either. And it helps to see, I think in something like this, it helps to see the audience too, because your brain really does go like, oh yeah, there's people watching this.
Yeah, let's talk about that. There's humans in the audience, Sam.
There's humans in the audience.
There's more humans than Muppets in the audience, Sam.
Okay, that I think there should have maybe been a little bit more of an even split.
And no offense, you people who are sitting in the audience, but you're all dressed like corporate people from Disney who asked to be in the audience for the Muppet Show. I don't think that's the case.
I don't think so either, because one of them's Griffin Newman, right?
Yes.
And David Sims is maybe also there.
And Lucas Ross, banjo player for Kermit, is there. But you're all dressed. I can't understand. Like, I don't know what's happening, why these people are here for in the first place. But they're all dressed like they're going to Broadway, like to a nice theater show, which I understand.
Guess maybe they are in this universe, but
I don't know that, because you can sit next to a giant naked Angel Marie in the theater who doesn't need to be dressed up. And I feel like they're all dressed so business casual that it feels like this is the network people here to check and see if they do a good job.
Right.
But that's not what they are. They don't imply why they are there, if it's anything weird. And so I'm just left like wondering who these people are, why they're there.
Why they're so formal.
Why? Yeah, and it's not even like, it's not black tie. That might be more interesting if they were black tie. But they're just business casual out, like they just came from dinner, popped over to the Muppet Show.
I think we're supposed to just think that they're at a Broadway show.
I guess so. It's just too bright. I can see all their faces.
It is very bright. It is very bright. But the art of lighting anything has been basically lost. So there is that part too. But I think we're so far away from the idea of vaudeville even existing that nobody thinks like, oh yeah, you could go to like a little scummy theater and see a little scummy show.
But they did a great job like rebuilding that theater. Like, it looks pretty much identical if you actually put them side by side to the old Muppet Show. But something Sam and I talked about before recording, something about it was just bugging me. Like, it didn't look right. It looks identical, but it didn't look right. It didn't feel right. And what Sam pointed out is that when you build a theater for humans and not just for a bunch of Muppets, you have to build it at a scale that is different.
Yeah.
And what that does is it destroys any sense of forced perspective that the old one had, where you can look at that Muppet Theater and you assume it's as big as a old Broadway theater that you've been to.
And it looks dark enough that it's stretching back forever. Yeah.
Yeah, there's shadows. You can't quite see the full box of Statler and Waldorf. but that set was not the size of a real theater. They did not
Right.
build a full-sized old theater in the studio in England to film the
Right.
Muppet Show.
Right.
But it felt big and alive. This feels small
Yep.
and a little colder. And I think something like the fact that there's the balcony, the mezzanine, whatever, that is teased, like you can see it, but they don't show anybody up there either, also makes this feel small. Like it feels like a little black box theater as opposed to like an actual big grand theater, which is what it is designed to look like.
Well, and the other thing we talked about was that there's no balcony.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to figure out how to put a balcony up there, or they didn't want to digitally compose the balcony. I don't know. I do think you could have dropped it down a little bit and had some Muppets up in the balcony. But
yeah, they just frame it so that you assume maybe there's people up there.
Yeah.
But they don't actually confirm that.
But you know what? I like that there's people in the audience. It actually bothered me more that there weren't people in the audience in the old Muppet Show than it does that there are people in the new Muppet Show.
See, I love the idea of the Muppets doing shows for Muppets, and then a human shows up and they're like, what the hell am I doing?
That's true. It would be terrifying, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Like you have to appeal to this whole Muppet audience and you have no idea how to appease them.
From the stills, I was worried about the set in general. And I thought it looked very sterile and didn't look quite right. But I think there was two things. I think one thing is that there was maybe more of a yellow filter on the finished product that did make it look a little bit more like a place where people had been smoking cigarettes for like 50 years before this. But I think it felt so, there were so many Muppets in it for most of it that it felt alive. And you never, I never looked back and thought, oh, this is just a recreation of, because I think one thing we talked about was that it looked like you're standing in line for a Muppet ride at Disney World.
Right. Like it has that Disney queue feeling of, oh, it looked like the thing, but like a polished, not interactive, not an actual version of the thing. Like they did a good job of recreating it, but I can tell this isn't the real one. Right.
Yeah. But in practice, I didn't notice anything except I was a little still mad about the balcony. I think they should have figured out the balcony.
Yeah, I think the crowd in general, because they have to frame it, you can tell where it cuts off and the set just ends there. The bits with Maya Rudolph, I think, are really funny, but the fact that she's not actually in the audience in any of the other shots feels a little weird. And I don't think the people that are around her when we see her later on are in the wide shot either. So I think we're supposed to believe she's sort of off to the right of the shots that we normally get to see. But it just felt a little weird sometimes.
Yeah.
But we do get Scooter entering Sabrina Carpenter's dressing room to let her know 30 seconds to curtain Miss Carpenter. But surprise, it ain't Sabrina Carpenter. It's Miss Piggy.
Did she really make herself look like Miss Piggy on purpose? Or is that just completely a fabrication for the show?
My guess is that there's a little bit of truth to that. But I don't think Sabrina Carpenter has based her whole career around looking like Miss Piggy.
Looking like Miss Piggy. But probably in her life, people have said, you look like Miss Piggy.
Yes, I do believe this is not the first time this has been brought up.
Because she does look like Miss Piggy.
But she also, this is sort of a recent version of Sabrina Carpenter. If you look back 5 years, 10 years, Sabrina Carpenter was not quite as Miss Piggy-esque.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, this is a short little, cold open kind of scene of Piggy and Sabrina discussing, well, one of us is going to have to change. And also, do you wear wigs? I don't. Do I wear wigs? Let's not out each other if we wear wigs or not.
You ever seen that thing where the guys from The Lord of the Rings are interviewing each other?
I regretted even saying the phrase, do you wear wigs, when I just said it.
That's the first thing I thought of when she said, I
know.
Wear wigs. Will you wear wigs? Anyway, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't know how to explain what I'm talking about, unfortunately.
I don't know how you don't know, because my feed, annoyingly, that clip is fine. I enjoyed it the first time I saw it, but somehow I constantly get served clips of those boys, those men, still being asked about that at like Comic-Con and things from time to time.
Oh yeah, that's annoying. That's
like
annoying.
I'll see a new interview from like last week with Elijah Wood. They're like, "Do you wear wigs?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do." I don't know why I said I didn't.
This is pertinent to the conversation because we can't just let something be. We can't just let it be its own thing. We can't just let the Muppet Show be its own thing. We have to pretend like it's the most important thing ever. We have to pretend like, we just have to, nothing can just exist anymore. I mean, like the meta narrative around this is like,
Mhm.
this is the most important thing ever. You have to watch the Muppet Show or the Muppet Show will be destroyed.
But that's the thing, is I don't think it feels like that, aside from when Kermit decides to make it like that in the last 5 minutes.
No, what I mean is the world, the real world that we're in.
I see.
We can't just look at this. And even the Disney execs couldn't just look at this and say, that's a pretty good episode of the Muppet Show. Let's make 5 more and then we'll see how they do. Everything, it's like how there used to be 20 episodes of a TV season and now there's like 8 to 10. So every one of them, everybody's like, that wasn't very good. So it's the show's ruined. And they're kind of right, because there's only 10 episodes or whatever.
Right.
So everything is twice as important.
I'll tell you where I'm at, Sam. I have no expectations that they're going to make any more of these.
Me either. That was going to ask you at the end. Do you think that they will make any more if you had to call
I don't
your
think
shot?
so.
I don't think so either.
Which is a bummer. I want to see more of these. I want this same team to make more with, hell, Post Malone or somebody, like throw them in there next. Like, I would love to see more from this team. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't, because of the rollout of this, because there's not a ton of push behind it, because there is that feeling of this is the thing that must save the Muppets.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a world in which it clears whatever bar people have in their heads, because it's not perfect. It was never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And because it's not 100% perfect, people will never say, oh my God, give me 20 episodes of that tomorrow.
Right. Because it didn't go viral or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's kind of another thing that's sad about, we're going to have talked about the whole ending before we get there, which is fine. That the end is, to me at least, clearly there being like, remember when we sang Bohemian Rhapsody and everybody on the internet loved it? Now we're going to sing another Queen song. Let's see if they like this too.
If that's what they were going for, I think they missed the mark. I didn't think about that when I was watching it, but I can definitely see that. I think that ending misses the mark in a lot of ways, though, so we'll get there.
Okay.
After Miss Piggy and Sabrina have their moment, we do get the classic Muppet Show intro. Kermit pops out through a refreshed Muppet Show sign, which, personally, I don't love the new font.
I think
but
looks bad.
That's very nitpicky, I think. Again, 99.9% of the people will have zero problem with this.
I think it looks bad. And when they zoom in, it looks so, like, poorly painted, in my opinion, too.
That I'm fine with.
Really?
Because the old one looks handmade and like someone just had to design it by themselves and paint a mural. This looks too clean in some places, and the font is so even on like the two P's in Muppet that I'm like, this is not as sloppy as the old one.
The old one to me was, and this was probably the case, painted by a professional sign painter. Probably, maybe even in the 70s, by somebody who would have painted vaudeville signs. This one looks like they were just like got a bunch of PAs and they were like, paint them up at show sign.
I think we're going to have to agree to disagree here, because I think part of that is the low quality video that we have of the old Muppet Show. I think if you were watching it in HD, it would probably look pretty bad. I also think that there is something charming about it looking handmade and a little sloppy.
Okay. It looked too sloppy.
For me, I'm like, I want it more sloppy, and you're saying it's too sloppy.
It's too sloppy. I'd say it's too sloppy, but Matt, I respect you. Damn it if I don't respect you.
I mean, it'd be real bad if that was the moment you lost respect for me.
Yeah, I lost respect for you a long time ago.
Yeah. We've said plenty more horrendous things on this podcast.
I thought they did a good job recreating this, though. And you know what? It was so nice to see new characters in those arches.
Yeah, so we can run through this. Basically, the opening is what you remember from season 5. Like, it's almost identical to season 5's intro with a little bit of season 2 thrown in there.
But you know what? I think if there was a time to reintroduce the lost line of to introduce our guest star, it's what I'm here to do. It's the revival when Sabrina Carpenter is on. I think they could have said Sabrina Carpenter and then had her like appear. Yeah, I think that would have been nice.
Or the Fozzie joke or something.
Yeah,
like,
do the whole thing. Yeah.
That's why I thought it was interesting that they sort of did a mashup of it's mostly the season 5, but then there's the lineup of the Muppets is almost exactly season 2, which is interesting that like it's not like they just took the season 5 intro and said redo this. But yeah, the orchestra has Rolf, Janice, Zoot, Animal, Floyd, Lips, and Dolores, the trumpet girl / trombone girl now, because Lips came around and was like, hey, only one of us needs to play trumpet.
You think if Lips talked, he talked like he talked in I think he would, right?
Yeah,
in
I
Electric
think
Mayhem.
Probably because they didn't change him.
But I think Muppets Mayhem's canonical. Yeah, right?
I think
so?
One, it's always generous to say that anything in the Muppet Show world is canonical, but I don't think so. I don't think there will ever be a mention of anything that ever happened in Muppets Mayhem again.
I think the Janice scene was, to me, that was reaching out to us Muppet Mayhem fans saying,
"Oh, see, I think that was erasing Muppets Mayhem. I think that's old school Janice. I think the Muppet roller coaster is completely erasing the story of Muppets Mayhem with like how they're talking about."
Now I've lost respect for you.
But you know I'm right.
I know you're right.
Because they're talking about they're getting a record deal with J.P. Gross's record label.
Yeah,
they're not,
right.
And Penny Waxman's here too. They have decided they are moving on.
I think there will be an Employee of the Month Penny Waxman thing. That's my guess.
Okay. That, if it's an Easter egg from an Imagineer, maybe.
Okay.
I don't think in the canon of the ride, I don't think there will be a single thing referencing Muppets Mayhem.
Okay. I disagree. And I guess we'll find out when we go to Disney World together again.
I would be willing to bet legitimate US dollars on that one. But we get the famous Rolf and Zoot sax note moment as we see Thog, 2 mutations, Sweetums, and Dog Lion take their place in the arches. It was previously Timmy Monster, not Dog Lion in the intro, but
Upgrade.
They said, fuck that guy. We hate Timmy Monster.
That guy sucks.
Yeah. And after watching this a few times, that's definitely a digitally altered Thog.
Do you think they shrunk him?
I have a couple of theories of what happened here, and one of them's right.
Okay.
This is not a rebuilt Thog. I have it on good authority from some people that they did not rebuild a Thog. I think if they rebuilt a Thog, you would have seen him more than once.
Okay.
And you don't. You only see him once, and it's in this very scene. He looks very, very much like the 2011 movie Muppets Thog.
Which was way too giant.
Right. The whole thing in that one was that they built him too big. He couldn't fit through the arches. So I'm pretty convinced that what they did here, there's 2 options, I guess. One, they had a unused take from the 2011 movie that they cut him out of and placed him in these arches because he does move a little differently than he did in the 2011 movie. So it's not just the exact same shot. Alternate theory, they still have this suit in a warehouse and they put him in front of a green screen, filmed somebody doing it in this costume, and then digitally scaled him down to fit in the arches later. Because if you go again, annoyingly frame by frame like I do, his shadows, very different from everybody else's. He clips through the arches
He does.
a little bit.
I was watching him clip through the arch. Yeah,
and for some reason, his
right.
arms are dragging on the ground.
His arms
They're
are so long. Yeah, they can't rebuild Thog, right?
Yeah, so I think this is definitely not a completely rebuilt Thog. I think this is just a 2011 Muppets movie puppet.
Yeah.
Again, whether or not it's an unused take from something else or a newly filmed, digitally scaled down, whatever, this just ain't a new Thog. Statler and Waldorf get their lines in the song like they do in the season 5 intro. And then Kermit gets the famous "let's get things started" line where he's just showing so much skin. There's something... you need to drop down Kermit just like 5 degrees. It's just,
you can see his whole crotch and all his folds and
there's
everything.
There's a lot of folds happening there with Kermit right now. But yeah, we pulled back to reveal the whole crew. And my favorite part of this, puppet rods everywhere, Sam.
Yeah, I made a note of that too. They didn't edit the rods out. I thought that was great.
And it's like they're flaunting them in that moment too. I wanted to ask you though, who'd you see in the intro that you were kind of hoping to see more of in the episode?
Oh, I was hoping there'd be more Bean. I think I would have been okay with more old acts too. Like it would have been fun to see Wayne and Wanda. I feel like you could do fun things with Wayne and Wanda now because they're up there in the arches. I see Bean or Robin. I could have taken one of the cute little guys, I think, more. But Robin looked... one thing that I haven't really mentioned is that I think a lot of the puppets look not very good. And Robin especially stood out to me as like, what happened to you, man?
What? Yeah, you mentioned this before, but what's your problem with Robin? Is it like they made him a little darker and not Kermit colored anymore?
No, he just looks like a sock on some guy's hand. Like he's not. There's no like structure to him. I feel like
he's always kind of been a soft guy singing, though, hasn't he?
There's just something different. He just looks like a puppet when he's not supposed to look like a puppet.
I wonder again, like, we're not going to blame everything like on this, but I wonder how much of this is high def 4K, visual quality, where you're like, whoa, I can see everything.
Yeah.
Versus an old pixelated VHS rip on the internet. But yeah, there was a handful of characters who were rebuilt that I think I felt like I could notice it more. I think the newer Waldorf puppet looks a little funky to me. Like he's flatter and stuffed. I think overstuffed is what I would say is the most common.
With a lot of them, yeah.
Yeah, like they just look hard to puppeteer, I think is the way you worded it to me. And I don't disagree because they look like they're just full of fluff from, toe to tip. And I think I'm just wondering why. Like, I don't know if there's like a new decision making of like, when we make new puppets, they have to be like this.
Yeah.
But there's something that's happening to a lot of these characters who have been rebuilt where they just look stiffer, less malleable. And like, it's like they're already ready to be put in a museum. Like they don't need any prep work to be set in a museum because if you just let them drop, they would look the same.
Yeah, and like I would say even like Fozzie's mouth plate kind of looks like it's not even in right or something. It's just like Fozzie bothered me especially. The shape of his head is just it's off.
But there were some characters in the Arches that I wish I had seen more of, or at least even in their crossing in the background of the theater. Like Baskerville would have been great to see outside of this one little, 10 pixel tall version of him that we get in the Arches. The Kuzbanians showing up could have been fun.
Yeah.
But I'm not sad to not see Howard Tubman do something. Like,
I was surprised Uncle Deadly didn't get a little something to do also.
I wonder if there is some uncertainty around characterizations from the 2015 series. And like what they want to leave behind and what they want to carry forward, because Uncle Deadly is not Miss Piggy's stylist in this.
Yeah, right.
We don't see him in the dressing room. We don't see him helping out. We see none of that energy from Uncle Deadly that we saw in the 2015 series. So
that's true.
That makes me think that they are just like maybe not sure what to do with him right now and didn't want to address it.
Just let him be her friend.
But I think Bean is an interesting one because Bean is throughout this.
Yeah.
But Bean doesn't say anything.
And Bean's puppet also looks great, I think.
Looks amazing. I think he does sing at the end, obviously, in the big number where everyone's singing. But I was kind of surprised that Bean didn't get a single line.
Yeah. Especially when they've recast Bean. And Rizzo sang, but he also didn't really get like a character moment.
Right. Like, that could not be Rizzo. Because he's singing like an auto-tuned Weekend song.
Yeah.
And doesn't have a character moment where he's being Rizzo to Kermit about his next act or whatever like that. That could just be any rat.
Yeah. And also, I think I said this to you, I don't believe Rizzo would do that. Like, I feel like Rizzo would be too cool to sing a Weekend song, maybe. And not that the Weekend's not cool,
an ulterior motive.
Like, I suppose.
He might be doing it for a lady.
He might be trying to impress a girl. That could be right. Okay, that's my headcanon. I believe that now.
I think there's a lot of headcanon you kind of have to fill in because they don't answer a lot of those questions, which again, I'm okay with.
Yeah, it would be fun to also have somebody who doesn't know anything about the Muppets watch this and tell us what they think is going on here.
Well, we're still in the theme song. So Gonzo comes down in another refurbished Muppet Show sign, blows his trumpet, which makes an elephant-like noise. He looks into it to see what's clogging it, and boom, he gets hit in the face with a bunch of confetti.
Bit of a phoned-in trumpet gag, I would say.
It's probably happened before on the Muppet Show, something very similar. But I also think there are little things like that you can get away with just doing what you did before. Right. Because that's nice. Like there's a Statler and Waldorf joke later on that is verbatim something they said on the Muppet Show at least once. But that also kind of felt nice. Well, Kermit opens the show. There's a small gag where the spotlight takes a second to find him, which I don't really know why it was there, but it's fine.
Yeah, and accompanied by sound effects that felt out of place to me. But
yeah, like again, there's a couple moments in this that it feels like maybe they wanted to show Swedish Chef or somebody up in the booth and be like, and like, it feels like there was supposed to be a reference, or there was supposed to be a person to cut to, or supposed to be a mention of something there.
Right.
And they didn't.
Yeah.
And you don't really miss them. But I think they lead to moments like this where you're like, huh, why'd that happen?
I agree. I think I remember thinking they're going to show who's running the spotlight.
You could even cut for 3 seconds away to a rat.
Yeah.
A random rat controlling the spotlight. And you'd be like, rats don't control spotlights.
Yeah. Or a bean bunny going, woo, woo,
Oh,
woo,
that'd
or
be cute.
something. Yeah. Or Beauregard just being stupid like he always is.
Getting more nitpicky, I have a problem with the credits, Sam. One, I don't know if this is just me, but it feels weird that there's not any sort of reference to Jim Henson.
It's based on Disney's Muppets or whatever. Yeah.
It says based on Disney's Muppet properties and characters.
Yeah, maybe loosen up the legalese a little bit here, guys.
And I will say, we are watching a screener of this. Maybe some things will be different on the TV release / Disney Plus release. If there's anything that you can change before that release, that's the one I would want maybe change the most, because boy, does it feel cold and not very welcoming for the first text you see on screen to be based on Disney's Muppet properties and characters. I'm like, no shit. They just did the whole Muppet Show theme song. I want to imagine the person who's sitting there going, oh, now I know what this is.
What is this based on? You said way earlier that you just made a joke of like, oh, they don't know we're doing this. But I think that, like, referring to Disney not like paying it, I think there's so many parts in this where it feels like, or maybe just like an overarching feeling of, it feels like they're just barely getting to do this, which like they cheaped out a little bit on some of this stuff. The puppets look
I do want to talk
weird.
more about that, because you mentioned a couple times if they needed more money or they had more money, they could do this. And I don't necessarily know that I know what you're talking about, but I do think moments like that Kermit Spotlight thing we're talking about, where maybe there was somebody or the original script, or they had ideas for a cutaway, and they were like, you got to lose some of these cutaways, guys. You got to trim it down. And so they had to just lose moments like that. But I'm curious what specifically you would point out saying that it felt like they didn't have enough money.
The puppets that are overstuffed feel cheap. What do I mean? Maybe the other thing is that they weren't allowed to make more of these. It's just something about it doesn't look expensive to me. And the big sign looks like crap. I know you love the big sign, Matt, but
well, no, because I actually rewatching some Muppet Show, like old Muppet Show before this. What I want is more slop. There's moments in the old Muppet Show intro where the puppets bump the arches and they shake. Like, you can feel the handmadeness of the puppets, the set, the sign, everything in the old Muppet Show. And I think this is too polished in my eyes.
I think maybe to me, when I watch something that's too polished, I think this was made on the cheap with not a lot of love to it or something like that.
Or just like with a lot of limitations in place. And they did the best they could, obviously. Again, we liked this thing a lot. Yeah. But there are small things that just point to like, why was that like that though?
If I see something that made me think when I was watching it, this looks cheap, I will call it out. Because that's fair to call me out for saying that, because it's probably not true. I do think the sign looks cheap. And and some of the I don't think the puppets weren't built for this necessarily. Not all of them. Like Fozzie wasn't built for this, so he looked wrong before that. Or like Rolf looks, just like them not looking exactly right to me reads as a lack of care at some stage. And I would guess it's the person writing the checks who doesn't care.
I hear that. I also know that there's been 8 different Rolfs. You look through Rolfs going back to the Jimmy Dean show. Like, there are different Fozzies. There's different Rolfs. Like, this isn't a new problem.
Their eyes aren't placed in the right place, though. And Rolf's Rolf's jaw is way too big.
Oh, yeah. I'm saying that, like, I'm not saying your problems with the current round of puppets isn't a problem. yeah, you know what I mean. I'm not saying that you're wrong or that like your opinion is invalid. What I'm saying is that like them changing the look of the puppets a little bit doesn't necessarily jump out at me as much because they've done that a lot of times. And so I think it would take a pretty big shift for me to be like, whoa, what happened there? So the overstuffed ones are the ones that jump out at me where I look at them and I'm like, oh, I feel like how many times did Waldorf used to smush his face into his own face when he got bumped by Statler or something like that?
They look like if you did that now, they would pop a seam or something.
Or that you just bounce right off and they would look no different.
Yeah.
Or that's impossible for the puppeteer to even try to do that with their hand.
Right.
Like I think the cheapness comes from that overstuffed gas station touristy puppets on a tree like display stand that you would pick up and use as a non-professional puppeteer.
Yeah.
And I think obviously there's a lot of love and care going into creating these puppets to actually, sewing them and creating them in the different workshops that make them. And maybe it is a budget thing. Maybe it's a time thing. Maybe it's maybe the puppeteers requested it. Who knows?
Yeah,
we'll
maybe.
Probably never know, but it does look off sometimes.
Yeah.
Something that felt a little off to me are the non sequitur cutaways that there are throughout this special a couple of times. Kermit's introducing the show, acknowledges that, hey, we're back to doing this for the first time in a long time. And in the middle of him talking, you get a cutaway to Statler and Waldorf making a joke about how they're only doing this because they're broke, which feels like in the old show, Kermit would have heard them and they would have interacted with each other.
Yeah.
Whereas this is a thing that we're just hearing Statler and Waldorf, but presumably Kermit's still on stage talking to the audience.
Right. Yeah. There was almost no time. I feel like, well, that's probably not true, but yeah, them reacting to what Statler and Waldorf says is kind of part of it.
Yeah. Like I don't, either we get Statler and Waldorf talking at the end of a thing before a commercial break or a cut, or there's a direct interaction between somebody on stage and Statler and Waldorf.
Right.
So for them to talk in the middle of Kermit talking was weird that Kermit didn't seem to notice them. But Kermit introduces the opening number, which is Sabrina Carpenter performing her song Man-Child in a bar full of rowdy frackles. This one's pretty good. It's not my favorite of the musical numbers. And I know this probably happened a lot on the Muppet Show as well, but the lack of accurate lip syncing for some reason really bugged me in this.
I didn't think about it.
There's just a couple times where she's beating up Frackles and she picks one up to throw it and she just stops, singing along.
Sure. She's only human, Matt.
Yeah.
I think this was when I was kind of like, okay, they did it. Because it could be transported back in time and not, it's better than a lot of the musical numbers, honestly. I thought the chickens singing was really cute and it just had, that was good.
Yeah, it had a Muppet Show feeling to it. It was chaos. There was violence. There was Crazy Harry showing up to ruin everything. Instead of blowing people up, he just has a big fan that blows feathers off of chickens.
Yeah, he went woke. They don't let him blow stuff up anymore. I did think at the end at one point Kermit's kind of like, sorry about that mishap back there. And I did have to think really hard about like what the mishap was. And it was just getting the chickens.
I don't even know if that's it.
Okay.
We'll get there, but I was confused by that moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have the chicken backup singers. We also see Paul Revere the horse peering in through the window.
Interesting. He's in this a lot, actually.
Yeah, I think they built half of him though.
Yeah, he's always hiding behind something. Is right.
Yeah, you don't
he's
see his legs or his body.
Full horse with like tennis shoes on, right?
Yeah, when Bob Hope rode him,
yes,
we saw his full body, and in this we see head and neck.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, it does end with all of the feathers being blown off the chickens, who are now naked.
And you know what? Why wouldn't Gonzo? Gonzo is not horny for chickens at all in this.
Yeah, Gonzo is not really a part of the plot that much.
No.
We'll get to him soon, but his piece in this is just to kind of shoot through the scene every now and then to remind you he's there.
This would be the best day of Gonzo's life.
Yeah, if only he wasn't blowing away, he would be stopping and being like, Kermit, I can't handle this. You can't do this to me.
I have to go home. Kermit, I gotta go home.
I need to lie down. Backstage, Robin is here to compliment his uncle's opening number. I can see what you're talking about. I think actually he has too much of a neck is the problem. He's too skinny and tall compared to Robin, who maybe was just more of a lump.
Yeah, he doesn't have a belly. Just kind of like how Kermit doesn't have a belly right anymore. Robin has
Damn
lost
Ozempic
his...
frogs.
That's what it is, yeah. A Muppet gets too skinny, you start seeing the fully articulated human hand underneath.
Yeah. But Kermit is concerned that it's too crowded backstage, and this is when Scooter informs him that he's improved too many acts because basically they pitched to Kermit, and he said, that sounds fun.
Because he's a dick.
Yeah. And everyone took that literally, and so Scooter just booked everyone he told that to.
I like seeing Scooter again.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most missed opportunity of Muppets Mayhem was that Scooter wasn't in it. I think he would have been a good addition to it. But I love Scooter.
Yeah, you need somebody like uncool in that world.
And they had the humans who were both uncool, I believe. But somebody who's uncool and they can blow up every now and then or like drop down a well or something.
Yeah, you can't do that to Taj Mowry.
He would get so hurt.
Well, Kermit says the next person who talks to him is getting cut. And of course, that's right when Miss Piggy walks out, shoving Swedish Chef out of the way. Kermit tries to explain to Piggy that the show is running long, and he's concerned about the fact that she's doing 2 acts. Miss
Piggy's still cool. I still love Miss Piggy.
Yeah, I think the dynamic here works pretty well. Like, this feels like classic Muppet Show banter. I think the Piggy and Kermit dynamic works. I think it is enhanced by Fozzie running in after the fight. Especially because he says, I couldn't help but overhear because I was spying on you guys.
Yeah, I like that. Fozzie, I could have done with more Fozzie, too. I kind of missed him in this.
I could have done more. I could have done with more specifically Kermit and Fozzie because the moment they started talking, my heart was just warm and grew 3 sizes.
Yes, I totally agree. They needed their little moment of like, remember how we're best friends?
But then is one of those moments where I feel like a little bit of 2011-ish on Fozzie starts to creep in because he offers to help trim a little bit of the show. And so he pulls out some giant scissors. Kermit tells him prop comedy is not what they need right now. So Fozzie puts on his thinking cap, which is a giant balloon hat.
This is 2011. Why?
This just feels like Fozzie's too dumb.
Yeah, right. I forgot he got really stupid eventually.
And I think when I like Fozzie is when he's tries really hard with what he believes is like a truly good idea,
right? But
maybe fails. Like,
and also, I think what we talked about is that the whole joke of him is that he's smart enough to know that he's doing a bad job.
Right. Whereas just if one of your friends is like, I got to put on my balloon hat, you know me, you're like, yeah, I do.
Why do we hang out with that guy again?
It feels like the fart shoes in, I think that's the 2011 movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Or the Muppet Man segment in that, where they decide they're going to do like the disguise costume thing to sneak into Miss Piggy's office. There's just a couple things that they put on Fozzie in more recent years that I'm not a huge fan of.
Right. Because it's gotten away from, to me, it's gotten away from like the core conceit of the character of, like I said, he's supposed to be pathetic and know it. And he's just dumb. And in this,
his idea is to cut out Seth Rogen from the show, who is disappointed because he is an executive producer on the show. What do you think he was supposed to do, though?
I don't know. He's not a stand-up comedian.
Like, what are they teasing that Seth Rogen would be doing on the show? He's dressed really nicely. He's dressed fancy. He's supposed to be part of an act, I guess.
He doesn't really do anything, does he?
I don't know. I feel like there's multiple opportunities in this to tease something wacky and then not pay it off, because that's what the Muppet Show would do a lot of times, is say what Gonzo was going to do or somebody was going to do, and then be we canceled that. And so, to say, oh, Seth Rogen's next, he's going to, drive a monster truck over 30 school buses or whatever. And then they're like, sorry, Seth, we're cutting it. He's like, oh, what a bummer. And you kind of just get to imagine what he didn't get to do. Whereas in this, he's just standing in the wings of the stage and is told, we cut you. And then that's it.
But what do? You kind of go out there and do your Pumbaa voice?
Like, yeah, the executive producer of things is not often the one who gets to go out on stage.
Right. They should have he should have got, who does he know that's famous? They could have got Lady Gaga or something. I don't know. They should have got somebody really famous.
You want to have Seth Rogen in it. You want to actually have him do something that could have been fun with him is one of the like interview panel show things they did in like season 1. Where you have like a debate show between 2 sets of Muppets and Kermit's the moderator. Like, you could do that with Seth Rogen and like throw a random celebrity in there debating Sam Eagle or something about censorship.
That's fun. I like that idea.
Like, he could definitely be funny in a sketch like that, but he is not, like you said, he's not a stand-up comedian. He is not somebody who just goes out on his own to perform something.
He doesn't have an act.
But you know who does? The next person Kermit's going to introduce, who is the great Gonzo, who's going to attempt a deadly obstacle course on self-driving roller skates while reciting every Academy Award winner in the category of Best Supporting Actress. He's supposed to jump over 2 ramps that look like Guy Fieri if he was a transformer, a pile of barbed wire, some 3 rings on fire, some sparklers, and some giant blades that are swinging back and forth. O Fortuna kicks in as he turns on the roller skates, but of course this goes horribly wrong. He shoots himself backwards as he yells the name Shelley Winter, and we see him. It doesn't seem like ever again, but he will, in fact, show up later on.
It's kind of weird to see Gonzo doing this kind of stuff again. It's been a long time, right?
No, yes and no. On the 2015 series, there's a moment where he has to remember who he was.
Oh, yeah, right.
And he regains this stuntman persona near the end of that series.
That's right. I forgot about that. I like his thing with the swinging whatever and the...
This is where all the money went, Sam.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think one thing that I did think while I was watching this was like there were too many camera angles for them to have to do puppet tricks, I feel like. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
They can cut to a different view of Miss Piggy when in the old show they didn't or couldn't really do that.
There's also a lot of digital crash zooms throughout this.
Yeah, right.
Where it was not a camera move on set. It was a thing that they were like, we'll punch into that later to hide this thing. And the camera just like kind of zooms in.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also, again, something I do miss is, I think that's something that's lost in the widescreen format, is they did have a lot of puppet close-ups in the Muppet Show. There's a lot of like actor close-ups and Muppet close-ups, and I feel like we get less close-ups overall in this. And when we do, they're what you're saying. It feels like it's there to hide something.
Yeah, right.
Not for like a cinematographer's choice kind of thing. But Statler and Waldorf get a joke afterwards of, that was painful for him or for us. Both.
Yeah, I thought they were a little weak.
Yeah, because later on they have their joke of like, that wasn't half bad. No, it was all bad. Oh.
Get some new, but they need a Statler. They need their own Statler and Waldorf sitting in like a littler box up there.
Yeah, they need some like Gen Z Statler and Waldorf being like, yo, you old dudes suck.
That would be actually really good.
And now, Pigs in Wigs, a possibly Bridgerton-inspired Regency-era ball sketch.
That whole thing's just kind of in right now.
Yeah, and I get it, but this is one where I felt like it could have used a little bit of context because my headcanon is this is something Piggy demanded be on the show. Like It's very Piggy forward. She's the one driving the story, insisting that the story continue even when everyone else is like, dude, this is falling apart. This isn't working. And she's like, no, we must complete the story. But we don't get any necessarily like info on that backstage or anything. I could see Pigs in Wigs working as a recurring segment where it's a period drama or something every week.
With like a really complicated, like the character interactions are like complicated and there's obviously like tons of history or something like that. And they're dueling and they're whatever, falling in love with different people and stuff like that. Yeah, I could see that too. It felt like it was like as long as 3 Muppet Show skits to me.
I don't know. There's points at which like you kind of feel like you got it. Like the whole thing is Miss Piggy is gossiping around the people there. Her date leaves to go fetch her a beverage, and she goes to meet her secret lover, which is the plot of this main thing. It's supposed to be like a drama. She has her public lover and her secret lover. And when she goes off to the side, she sees Scooter there, who informs her that they actually had to recast her lover. And so Pepe is here to play her lover, and he does not know why.
Well, so maybe you have Link and Piggy getting ready to go do this thing, and then like Link gets hurt somehow or something like, or like I don't know, or Pepe. The thing that bothered me about this mostly was that this felt like something that Pepe would be like excited to do, and he'd love to play the secret lover,
right?
And be like, oh baby, but he kind of no-sells her the whole time in kind of an irritating way.
But I also don't always love that Pepe. Like I think that flirtatious, horny Pepe can get kind of tiring really quickly, and so to balance out this like Piggy who is relentless in the scene, to have a completely confused Pepe who's like, I don't know what's happening. Yeah. Was kind of fun. Yeah. For me, true. The recasting of the lover felt like they wanted to say a celebrity or have a celebrity cameo. Like you said, the Link Hogthrob thing. I think that could have been interesting to have somebody backstage, like, Jacob Elordi or something like that, is
Right.
backstage getting ready to go on with Miss Piggy, and then he's replaced by Pepe. But what we get is we don't have any idea who was originally going to play this lover, which I just felt like, again, was like the spotlight thing.
The spotlight
where
thing, yeah.
It just feels like there was supposed to be something,
Right.
but you had to trim it back.
They didn't go back to it and write the joke in or whatever, too. But, I mean, maybe, I don't know. You do Pigs in Wigs, but it is more directly Pigs in Space with the same, like, trio or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm not
maybe
sure.
keep some of the DNA of the Pigs in Space, but try it.
Yeah.
Like, that was a sci-fi parody, so you could do the Bridgerton parody. You could do different eras, Civil War. Like, you could do different time periods of things. We have Random Usher bringing Statler and Waldorf some tomatoes to use as projectiles.
The joke they say here is not actually a joke. They just say, the show's still going on, unfortunately. I kind of like this guy bringing them stuff, though. I think them having a little personal usher is kind of a fun idea.
Yeah, I think the idea that there's theater staff is kind of shocking.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like, anyone works here? Okay. I have more questions now.
Maybe this guy's Employee of the Month.
Then backstage, we get, sadly, our only line from our beloved Hilda, who is doing her job as costumer and gluing feathers back on the chickens, and just says something like, okay, feathers glued, don't hug anyone till it dries.
Yeah, maybe the people who wrote this were also fascinated by the idea of staff working here, because I've always been fascinated by that, and it seems like they've kind of doubled down on it and brought back certain parts of it.
But Scooter informs this large group of Muppets gathered backstage that their names are all on a list in a very specific order, and, quote, as long as I have this list in my hands, the show will go off without a hitch. And so, of course, Gonzo shoots in, still reciting actresses, and snags the list out of Scooter's hands.
But it never really bears out that anything goes wrong as a result of that.
Well, I think the problem, all of this leads to Kermit's inability to put anyone on or choose a closing act, which I think is the weakest part of this episode.
Right.
And maybe doesn't get as chaotic as it could. The thing you could do, which I think they did in the Muppet Show, was have the crossover where two acts essentially go on at the same time.
I think we wished they did that.
Did we?
I can't remember.
No.
I think we came
It's
up
been
with
so
a whole.
long.
I think we came up with an episode where it was like, what if they did the Pigs in Space people doing Veterinarian's Hospital? And
Yeah, we definitely talked about that. And now that you're saying that, I do think we maybe made that up. So it's still a good idea, I guess. Especially in this context where you have all these acts booked. If you had Wayne goes out there to sing with Wanda, but a Snoth is out there instead.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? I don't know what to do here.
Yeah.
Again, not a huge problem. It just, again, raises more questions of what could have been. Kermit's back on stage to introduce the next musical number, which is Rizzo and the Rats performing Blinding Lights by the Weeknd.
Why did this exist?
Why not?
Why was this the one they decided to do?
I don't think this is that out of character for the Muppet Show. I think there was lots of musical numbers on the Muppet Show that were just, we're doing this song on a building for some reason.
I guess I always think of like, what's the point? Like when they were pitching it, what were they like? This is why this is a cool idea. Maybe it's all the neon and stuff like that, or
the set is very cool. It's like a
Yeah.
Chinatown kind of set.
right.
For me, where this falls apart is much like the closing number. It feels like it's too short to let the plot play out.
Because Beauregard's kind of messing things up and spilling and making lights short circuit, but it only makes it cooler.
Right. He spills his coffee on the big electrical switch. It makes everything flicker for like 5 seconds. But at no point do they really stop singing or enjoying themselves. They keep going. And then the lights come mostly back on and don't seem to be a problem. But we keep cutting back to Beauregard, who's trying to fix the problem by banging on the power thing with a crowbar. But I don't know that there is a problem.
And when you say it, without the part where you said it, I don't know that there's a problem, if someone pitches that to you, I guess you go, okay, that makes sense. And then if you're us and you watch it too many times, you go, what's he doing? I don't know. It just stood out to me in that it didn't have a point exactly. But you're right. I think that I look for meaning too much, Matt.
I think it's what is it? I think they did Rock Around the Clock, the
Yeah.
Rats, and a grandfather clock with cat gut on the old Muppet Show.
That's true. That was pretty stupid. They were just like in a dusty attic for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The
But
Rats
there's
just
plenty
kind
of
of do
Muppet
their,
shows
yeah.
where they just sing something.
Yeah.
And I think visually this is pretty impressive, both the set and the lighting and everything. It's nice to see the rats getting to be a part of this, but the Beauregard of it all just didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Maybe also I'm just a little bitter that Rizzo got to be on it, but didn't really get to like do anything fun in classic Rizzo.
That's totally fair. But again, I think that's what they do well. And I think it is frustrating at times. But I think this idea that this is not the most important episode of the Muppet Show does help this feel a little more natural of a thing. That they don't need to give everyone their moment. They don't need to pull out the greatest hits. They don't need to, like, there was a lot of times in this where I thought I knew what was about to happen, or I thought I knew, oh, they're going to give Fozzie this thing, or oh, they're going to do this thing. And almost every time they did not do what I thought they were going to do.
Yeah, that is good. That's good to keep in mind, is that this is just the next episode of the Muppet Show after the last one went off the air 30 years ago. 40, whatever.
Backstage, Piggy is ready for her musical number, but Scooter informs her that Kermit cut her number, which she did not know, so she is, of course, pissed off. Kermit is back in Sabrina Carpenter's dressing room. Classic Muppet Show scenario of him trying to go sort of apologize to the guest about what's happening. The problem is here, I don't know what he's apologizing for.
It's been long enough since she got lightly blown by a fan that...
Yeah,
I don't know that that's
let's
it.
Maybe reword that sentence a little bit.
Yeah, you're right.
I think in my head, it wasn't even the fan thing, though.
You think it
was the
else
opening where Piggy was in the dressing room.
Oh, interesting.
Like, I don't know what the mishap is that he's apologizing for.
Like they double booked the dressing room or something like that.
Yeah, because I think it's probably the fan, now that you say that.
Right.
But in my rewatches, I was just confused at what the mishap was, because this is the setup for the joke where he says, so sorry about the mishap earlier. We're still working out a few kinks. To which she replies, that's all right. I love a kink.
It feels like maybe like what the fan should have done is blown her clothes off. Right?
Not because Sam is asking for that to happen.
No, that would have made more sense. And then she would have been like, she could have been, okay, the fan blows her clothes off, but at the same time, all the feathers get blown off. And then when it goes down, she's in like feather underwear or something instead of like a feather dress.
I'd say that's almost what happens, but the more tasteful version of that.
Right, because she's in a whole dress. And then Kermit would have been like, sorry we made you naked.
There's a version of that that's less fanfic than I think what you just described. That does work.
Rude.
This is one of the moments where I felt like Kermit could have had a little bit more to do or say, because when she makes the joke of that's all right, I love a kink, he just goes,
He's just like, ooh. That's when
it was
he's
just
suppressing.
like that, like, ooh, I'm a Disney guy, I can't touch that.
Yeah, he's flashing back to all the times that he's, talked about his own penis and stuff like that. I'm a different man now.
But Sabrina reveals that she's so excited to be here that she turned down a Pulitzer Prize, getting her face on the new quarter, and a second date with a mysterious married celebrity.
They let her be a little freaky in this, huh?
I mean, that's her brand. They can't take that away from her. Piggy comes knocking, though, yelling, "Open the door, frog!" And my favorite detail is Scooter immediately yelling from the hallway, "She knows, boss!"
I love that, too. I really liked that. That was funny. I feel like this is where the whole thing started picking up for me, and there were some lines that were starting to make me really laugh.
Yeah, I think, it does sort of feel more like you're now in the middle, which you literally are, of an episode of The Muppet Show.
Yeah.
Where there's drama, there's chaos, there's a dynamic happening here that you kind of already know because it's Kermit and Piggy.
Yeah.
Scooter's the little stooge who tried to cover but immediately blew it.
Scooter, that is a little bit of 2011 Scooter too, right? Like where he becomes more of like a cowardly little bootlicker instead of always trying to like get one over on Kermit, because he used to be like a little nasty man.
Yeah, he used to pull the uncle card a lot.
Yeah, right.
Like, well, my uncle does own the theater, so I guess you have to hire me.
Then he got a little cute somewhere along the way.
Well, Piggy does knock in the door and smushes Kermit onto the floor underneath it, so she doesn't know that he's under there. She hears some whimpering and whining, but Sabrina blames it on the pipes. I can't tell. It seems like Sabrina actually does forget Kermit's under there.
Because she's like, and she's like, what's that sound?
Yeah, she's like, oh, right, you're there. So I think she does believe Kermit when he talks about the pipes earlier.
Oh, yeah. Right.
It's just the logic there is a little bit.
She lacks
like,
object
okay.
permanence.
Yeah. Little known fact about Sabrina Carpenter. No object permanence. You throw a blanket over her head, she won't move.
She just goes to sleep.
Yeah, she's like a bird. Sabrina rescues Kermit from under the door. He lets her know that it's okay. It happens more than you'd think. And he yells out, Scooter, you know the drill. Let's get another door in here. And Scooter yells, already on it, boss.
I love that too. It's really cute. He's such a good employee.
I love that he's always just out of frame.
Uh-huh.
Like his whole thing is that he's prepared to help or at least alert at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
Next, we get a surprising little scene where Maya Rudolph's hanging out with a beautiful day monster in the audience. The rest of the audience members seem to be watching something on stage. What it is, we do not know.
They're sitting so still. Yeah.
Everyone
creepy.
got the assistant director telling them, don't look at Maya Rudolph.
They're not moving a muscle. I noticed that.
They're sort of like, it's like they're watching a drama play out because they're not laughing. They're sort of smiling a little bit, but some of them are just kind of nodding like, yes.
Oh, I'm scared of how still they're staying. I shouldn't have watched it again.
But interestingly, Beautiful Day Monster, clearly a puppet not recently rebuilt because you can see his foam and his paint wearing off.
He's a little janked up. That's
which I'm totally fine with. That's a puppet that deserves to look a little rough.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Well, she introduces herself. He kisses her hand, and they immediately fall in love.
They're in love now.
So next up is Muppet Labs, the only real returning sketch from the original Muppet Show. The room looks like a nice modernized version of the old lab set. Beaker immediately shocks himself on a wall panel, and Bunsen lets us know why we're here. Today, we tackle a modern epidemic, distraction. These days, everything is competing for your eyeballs, mobile devices, televisions, and the day-to-day terrors that consume our brains when we aren't looking at the first two. Perhaps my favorite joke in this entire special.
Is that the most topical the Muppets have ever been?
I mean, 2015 series was very on the nose.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's the most on the nose I think this special is about the era in which it lives.
Right. But, I mean, that's like a political statement. That feels a little different than what, I don't know, that just feels like a little out of left field.
Right. Saying that there are, acknowledging that there are day-to-day terrors that consume our brains.
Yeah.
Does feel a little bit pointed, I guess.
Right. Because either you pretend like there aren't terrors or you admit that there are terrors are the two different political parties right now.
Or we love the terrors.
Yeah. Or some of them, the terrors are good. The terrors are very good indeed.
Well, he is here to show us Focus Pocus, I believe is what it's called. So this is one drop per eye, and all of a sudden, your attention span is back. But what actually happens, because it's a Muppet Labs, is Beaker's eyes pop off his head, and then more eyes grow out of his skull, I guess, and continue to pop out, and he shoots dozens and dozens of eyeballs out into the audience.
And where did they learn that from, Matt?
Lost on Earth is the show.
Yeah, they stole the idea from Lost on Earth.
Yeah. Seth Rogen was watching Lost on Earth, his favorite TV show, and was like, we got to do that. We've got computers now. We could do this way better. You can definitely see there's a couple different Beaker builds throughout this. Like the second half of it, after he starts freaking out, his head gets a lot longer for some reason.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. It does.
Part of me wonders if they tried this
They tried to shoot the eyeballs out of his head for real.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it didn't work as well as they were hoping, and so they CGI'd it after the fact.
Yes, that does. It looks like a stunt puppet. I would say that you're probably
it's
right
much
about
taller of a head, and there has to be a reason for that. Like, it's not like his head just shot out and got longer like it did in some of the other things, but like everything looks a little bigger and scaled up, like it's making space for a mechanism.
Yep, and he's built around like a big pipe or something like that instead of whatever he normally is. I bet you're totally right.
The more I look at it, the more I hate it, by the way.
Yeah, well, I'm watching it with no sound on, and it
same.
is actually terrifying because he looks like he's really in distress, and his puppet looks creepy, and he looks like he's dying. Good Muppet Labs, though. They did a good job. Good
Muppet Labs, and I enjoy the running gag from now on that his eyeballs are just everywhere.
Yeah, I like that a lot, too.
Including, right now, when one is going to shoot into Maya Rudolph's mouth.
And kill her.
Kill her. Chokes her to death.
Oh, I like the audience in this part now because they're all going like, ooh, gotta dodge the eyeballs.
Yeah. They clearly are not actually seeing anything, but are being told to dodge ping pong balls that are flying at their faces. Janice comes to check on Kermit, and she says that she can read auras and yours is like bad. And so she's going to help him out and does some mindfulness. Says we're breathing in. And she gets distracted and walks away, leaving Kermit to nearly suffocate.
I loved this part.
It's very, again, feels right for both characters.
It made me so sad that Muppet Mayhem didn't get at least like a couple more seasons, because I just remember how much I liked all of the characters in it, like how good of a job it did of making these like very one-dimensional characters be like, I don't know, Janice by the end was just so nice to hang out with, and it was nice to see her again in this too.
I do think I also like Muppets Mayhem a lot. I think what this has shown me is that these characters do need someone more normal to bounce off of sometimes. Because when you have just the Electric Mayhem,
they're all weird.
They're all weird.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
They don't think their ideas are bad ideas usually.
Yeah, that's true.
They just keep one-upping each other and making crazier and crazier ideas. And so sometimes having someone to bring them back down to earth like a Kermit, or to sort of reveal that like, oh no, that is very weird.
Yeah.
And not just normal because everyone around you accepts it.
They needed Scooter. Yeah.
Well, after the little breathing exercise, Kermit says, that did make me feel better. Almost like things are going to be okay. Smash cut to a Muppet News Flash. The newsman is here. Behind him is Sweetums, Beautiful Day Monster, and some mutation EMTs, who I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Wheeling Maya Rudolph's corpse out of the theater. Surprisingly, something falls from the rafters, but not on him this time. A sandbag falls from the rafters. He didn't get crushed by
anything, did he?
Not at all. He's just a legit newsman these days.
Interesting.
A sandbag falls from the rafters, hitting Maya Rudolph in the stomach, knocking the beaker eyeball out of her mouth. And she is alive. She says, I saw the light, and there was a river of souls and a wall of flames, and I was doing a award show patter for a man in red. That sounds like heaven, right?
This scene came out of an alternate dimension where this show was hilarious. because then the newsman's like, a thing fell on her and made her be alive again. And I laughed so hard at that part.
Yeah, he issues a correction. Correction, Emmy Award-winning comedy icon Maya Rudolph is alive. A thing fell on her and made her be alive again.
And I was just like, who wrote this? Like, who wrote this scene? And did they write any of the rest of it? But it was just so weird, and I really liked it.
There is part of me that wonders if the Maya Rudolph stuff was an afterthought. Like they wanted to punch it up a little bit, and they wanted an extra guest star.
So they hired the funniest comedian, the funniest writer they do, and they got Maya Rudolph, and I think you're right.
The Maya Rudolph stuff doesn't interact with anything else happening on the show. Her audience scene feels like it was shot elsewhere.
Right. Choking on the eyeball doesn't have to happen to make the Muppet Labs work.
No, those eyeballs can still shoot out, can still be all over the set. Like, it definitely enhances it. I think Maya Rudolph makes this better, and the eyeball choking thing is a funny way to take that. But part of me wonders if she was not originally in this special.
We got to get Seth Rogen on the show. We got some real questions for him.
There's also a chance that she was always supposed to be in the show, but they just had to film her separately, so it feels more separate from the rest of the show, but is actually was there all along in the script. Now it is time for another musical number. We got some Kiss the Girl vibes at first, with some animals singing as Kermit and Sabrina row in on a boat. But really they are here to perform Islands in the Stream, the old Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton song.
Does it seem weird for Kermit to cast himself in this? Or was that the kind of thing he was doing in the old Muppet Show?
He would do that occasionally in the Muppet Show. This is one of the moments, though, that I think is hilarious because he's cutting Piggy's number. He's so stressed about who can go on stage. We don't have time for everyone. But I'm not cutting my musical number with the guest star.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty funny too. And maybe on the old Muppet Show they would have maybe mentioned that or something. It would have been when Kermit was a little bit more of a dick, they would have had him. They would have had somebody
would have said like,
Boss,
wait, you're still doing your number?
Yeah.
But Piggy shows up in the middle of this to try to paddle to them in an inner tube with a tennis racket as an oar, which does not work. And so she flips and falls into the water before climbing into the boat, knocking Kermit off of the boat into the water and taking her place alongside Sabrina Carpenter to finish the song. I think this works for the most part.
I think it works. I loved the swamp set with all the animals and the
Mm-hmm.
flowers singing and stuff like that. I think that felt appropriately like grand for.
Yeah.
It didn't feel cheap. The whole plot line is a little sketched out where Piggy never quite like establishes how pissed she is, or like there's never a moment where she's like, well, I know what I'll do. I don't know. So you kind of are filling in some gaps, but it was all right.
For me, it was just like I think it's interesting because they do something right after this that I really like, but I think kind of makes what I don't like the moments in this song that I'm a little thrown off by more confusing. So like one, Piggy doesn't seem to be like moving at all or catching them at all. Like she just kind of is stationary in one spot and then falls over. When she climbs into the boat, there's like a little bit of like an awkward cut moment that they have to cover for. Whereas maybe in the old Muppet Show, they would have had a wide shot of Kermit getting knocked out of the boat or something. There's a lot of cuts in that to make Piggy climb on the boat.
Because they can use camera angles to not do puppet effects. Yeah.
Correct. So there's a lot of quick cuts in that segment that make it feel a little awkward and like you understand what's happening. It doesn't feel as fluid as it could have, I think. But no, overall, I love the song. I love everyone's performance of it. I think it works really well. Interestingly, after it wraps up, we're backstage again, but we're backstage on stage behind the curtain.
That was cool.
Where the musical number has just ended.
I think this special did a good job of more like they were in a place than sometimes the Muppet Show does.
Well, and again, your note about, people doing their jobs, Sweetums is striking the set.
Yeah.
He comes in and he starts taking things down to get ready for the next number.
I thought that was really cool too.
So yeah, I like this idea of the backstage thing, but it also is, again, sort of, it's revealing that this is a stage. Sweetums is walking through it. So what just happened
with all the water
with Piggy and
stuff?
Kermit falling in the water?
Yeah.
Like there's a certain suspension of disbelief in Muppet musical numbers a lot of the time where when things are going wrong, they're falling into the river or whatever, you can accept that in this reality we're in right now, that is the way things have to happen.
Right.
An alligator is going to eat them, whatever's going to happen. But then to immediately show that you can just walk through this set without falling into water is like, okay, if Piggy was actually mad at Kermit, could she have just stormed out and like knocked down a tree or something?
Well, in a different version of this episode, she would have done that, and they wouldn't have pretended like there was water. I don't think that it doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother me either.
I think it's kind of
again
fun.
Watching this 4 times in a row. Just you start to think of these questions.
You went mad, basically,
a little bit.
I did think a lot about like, did they fill up the whole thing with water, like a Roman Colosseum or something like that?
Well, backstage, in the actual backstage, one of my favorite details in this entire thing, one of Beaker's eyes has been affixed to Gaffer's eye patch.
Oh yeah, that was kind of creepy.
It's very creepy.
You think he can
which
see
is why I
through
love it. I didn't think he could until you said that, but maybe there's some Muppet magic going on there. Everyone's just sort of demanding to know what the hell's going on back here.
And I'm also a little confused. What is going on? And why didn't he pick a final number?
I mean, that's sort of, I guess the tension of the whole episode is that it's Kermit's job to keep these things in order. He failed at that job. And so the pressure is on him to pick who, you have time for one act. You have to decide who's going on. And he can't decide. It's too much pressure. And so he yells, "Okay, everybody stop," in a very classic freaking out Kermit way. He says, "Look, there's only time for one more act." Scooter isn't sure how he's going to choose. And then things start to get a little sentimental, which was surprising.
It starts to turn into the Muppet movie. It's like, it was never sentimental. The Muppet Show was basically never sentimental except for like a couple very standout moments I can think of.
And usually it was very revealing of, someone having a bit of a crisis of confidence or something and needing to be cheered up by the guest star, or something actually like legitimately does go wrong with the show and they're worried about it and they need to figure out how to save the day. This doesn't feel like anything has really gone wrong aside from the feather thing, which didn't ruin anything, and the Beaker eyes, which temporarily killed Maya Rudolph, but she's
better.
fine.
And the show being overbooked, nobody mentioned it. only Scooter even noticed, it seems like.
Right. Like everyone being backstage implies that they're all waiting for their cue to know when to go on.
Right.
But no one ever gets that mad about it or is demanding Kermit make a decision.
Even just somebody being like, you better let us on stage, Frog. You promised, or something like that.
Right. Like it comes across more, like maybe this is how it happens every week is everyone shows up hoping to get picked. And Kermit's just like, all right,
let's have you
Zucchini Brothers, you're on tonight. Everyone else can go home.
I mean, that's how I would have expected it worked, actually.
Instead, Kermit comes out after saying, look, do you trust me? And that's to Fozzie. They're having a sort of a heartfelt moment that doesn't feel like it fits in entirely.
Yeah.
He goes out on stage. Kermit says to the audience that the show hasn't gone exactly as they planned, as Gonzo rockets through the scene, which I guess, again, is something that has gone wrong, but I would say hasn't ruined the show.
Hasn't messed up anything, yeah.
But he says to the audience, quote, the point is, maybe we're a little rusty, but we promise to do a great show for you, and I hope that you at least enjoyed some of it.
And that's when it cuts to the audience, dead silent.
Well, there's like, again, a golf clap where people are like, yeah, I guess. I don't know, it's fine. And I, like...
You were showered with eyeballs. What more do you want?
Everyone, yeah, you loved the Sabrina Carpenter stuff. Like...
Yeah, Sabrina Carpenter's here. Are you kidding me?
Like, literally, like 2 minutes before this, after they sing Islands in the Stream, the audience is so stoked that that just happened. They loved it. They don't even remember Maya Rudolph dying. They are so happy.
Yeah, and you're right. 30 seconds later, Kermit walks out and says, sorry, our show's so bad.
Yeah, it's like when you see a comedian and they acknowledge that a joke didn't do well, you're like, don't do that. Just keep going. Keep being funny. Because in this, Kermit is basically coming out to tell you, 1, the show sucks. 2, and I don't have any time to make it better. So 3, I guess I'll just start singing Queen a cappella and see what happens. I'm not sure how I feel about this earnest, sad Kermit moment. I understand trying to make the Muppet Show a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
And a little bit more heartfelt.
I don't, but I
understand it if you had done it more consistently throughout the episode.
Right.
But you do it a little bit at the beginning with Rolf. There's like a nice little touching, hey, we're back together.
Yeah.
And then there's this, which is like, oh, this seems like what we should have been talking about the whole time, maybe.
It does seem like the other Muppets are standing in the back being like, there goes Kermit again. He does this all the time. He just overreacts to everything.
Or they're like, he usually likes what we do.
Yeah.
There is interesting.
Oh,
when
yeah.
they show
It's like, oh, we did a bad job. I didn't know.
He didn't give me any note. Kermit, again, accidental jerk Kermit, didn't cancel his own musical number and now takes up so much time when there's only time for one more act, just talking to the audience about how bad the show is.
Right.
And says, now we're at the end and you're probably all wondering what the final number is. In fact, I was supposed to come out here and announce one of the acts waiting backstage, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that.
Bad programming. You should have made the Islands in the Stream be the final act also. Why didn't you just do that?
Right, because it technically is, kind of, and it's good. So to do this and to not include Sabrina Carpenter in it is a weird choice.
It's weird.
Because what happens here, I'm assuming you've watched it at this point. It'd be weird if you hadn't and you're listening to this podcast. But he starts singing Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. And Rolf thankfully saves him, joining in on piano to help him out. And then everyone from the wings of the stage runs out to join in as well. The Electric Mayhem appear behind the curtain on a riser, reminiscent of the season 1 opening theme song.
You're right. What did he know this was going to happen, Kermit? Or was he just going to ruin the show?
It. Yeah, like what is the alternate reality where Kermit just started singing Don't Stop Me Now?
Yeah.
Does he expect that he's just going to sing the entire song a cappella by himself?
No accompaniment. And everybody's like, well, now the show does suck. He was right.
Yeah. Or is there something implied that Kermit just knows the Muppets well enough to know that this will be something?
There's no doubt in my mind that 100% of the time that would happen. But it seems like he's the only Muppet who doesn't know that 100% of the time that would happen. You know what I mean?
He does give Rolf a look of, oh, thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you really saved my ass right there. I didn't know what I was going to do. But yes, everyone from backstage comes out on stage, joins Kermit. Animal gets his one and only line of the special, which was kind of surprising, just yelling, "Don't stop, don't stop." My real critique of this closing number is that it should have been like a minute longer.
Yeah, the song's weirdly abridged. The sets, it's like very static. The staging is very static. And the song's abridged in a way where it doesn't make it like very much fun. I don't know. And the song implies like, please don't cancel us. Like that feels like,
oh, I didn't even think about that, but you're right.
Don't stop us, please.
Yeah. Don't stop us. Don't stop us. Please, dear God, let us keep making a show.
There's just these little moments that reek of like this desperation of, it's like pretend like, you ever heard pretend like you've been there before or act like you've been there before?
Yeah.
They got to act like they've been there before. Come on, guys.
Which they do again for like 75% of the special.
Yeah.
It just feels like they're like, hey guys, we're making the Muppet Show. That's what we do.
Kermit needs to go to therapy though.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. Kermit's the problem.
Yeah. A guy will literally get smashed by a door before he'll go to therapy.
He got too horny from talking to Sabrina Carpenter and he was like, I deserve this.
I have an idea of how we could do that sketch again, but your clothes come off this time.
Yeah. And then maybe you smash me under another door.
Scooter has so many doors. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
This happens all the time. And
That's why he's off screen, because he doesn't want to be too close to Kermit after he gets smashed by a door.
Kermit, you done?
Just step on me a little bit more, please.
Oh, man. Yeah, Kermit gets stepped on by Sabrina Carpenter and Miss Piggy.
Whoa, he does. He's living my dream.
But then we get a moment with Seth Rogen in the audience talking to a random country bumpkin-looking Muppet, complaining about the fact that he's insulted because they cut him, but they kept this armadillo in the tutu in there.
I like that. He's not canon.
I guess he's kind of right in that armadillo is from a fantasy musical number from Muppets Most Wanted. So
yeah.
I don't believe that armadillo character has existed in the real world before.
You know what? Apple's got to buy the Muppets, I think.
Oh, wow.
They don't mind writing infinite checks for all kinds of crazy shit. They would have greenlit 10 seasons of the Muppet Show already, right? Like, if
they would come out 5 years apart, and we would get season 2 of this version of the Muppet Show in 2035 or whatever.
If they can make like 6 seasons of Foundation, they can make a few seasons of the Muppet Show.
But it's time for Kermit to wrap up the show, thanking Sabrina Carpenter, and it's a pretty normal Muppet Show ending. Thank the guest star, crack a little joke, everyone comes out, and the credits roll.
Part of me was kind of like, oh, I'm kind of glad that she could be there. Doesn't that feel like the easiest part for her to be like, I'm not going to do that?
Yes, I agree. Especially after not seeing her in the musical number.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could have done a thing where, like, suddenly there's a weird cut where Sabrina Carpenter's not quite in the frame with Kermit.
Yeah.
But no, she's there. She was a great guest star. I think she seems like she's having a great time.
I think so, too.
And there wasn't, a single moment of me feeling like she didn't know how to interact with the puppets. I think she did great, and I think she treated them just like they were real people.
I agree. I like the joke where she implies that she's the same height as Miss Piggy too. I thought that was funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think because Kermit says something to her like, "You fit right in with us," and she's like, "That's because I'm the same height." And
then they come out, and she is pretty close to the same height as them.
She's very short. I think she's like literally 5 feet tall. So if she wasn't wearing heels, which I assume she is at the end of this, her and Miss Piggy would probably be not that far off. But then at the end, we get Statler and Waldorf with their best moment of the entire episode, I think.
I thought so too.
Statler says, "I've got this sharp pain in my left arm. I wonder what that's about." Waldorf says, "I'll tell you this much. It's not from clapping." And they both laugh. And then Statler goes, "Huh."
Yeah. That was like a Simpsons joke. It was good.
Yeah. He laughs and then realizes, I should maybe be concerned about this.
Yeah. I thought that was maybe one of the best Statler and Waldorf jokes ever, I think.
I feel like there was maybe some moments in the 2015 series as well where they acknowledge that they're very, very old men who might die at any moment.
Yeah.
And I do kind of like that when they're like, oh, wow, we're just hanging on by a thread here.
Yeah, we're pathetic. We're really the pathetic ones.
And that's it, Sam. We have discussed an episode of The Muppet Show.
Wow. And you know what? Hopefully we'll get to discuss more.
I hope so, too. Again, we said earlier, I don't have the highest hopes.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like this is going to be a one and done.
I think they were sabotaged.
But, I still think they did a good job. I still think if we only get one of these, this is a great one. There wasn't, again, a moment where I was like, oh, boy, that was the worst. They really should cut that. Was there
Right.
jokes we talked about that we didn't love? Sure. Was there things we said they could rework? Of course. We're nitpicking this thing.
Did we hate every other episode of The Muppet Show? Yeah. So it's fine.
We did dislike a lot more of it than we expected to, I think.
Yeah.
So for this to be in, the top half of all Muppet Show episodes ever.
Oh, easily. I would say
easily.
as negative maybe as I've been this yes, absolutely. It's in the top half of all Muppet Show episodes. No contest.
The credits were interesting, vaguely, I guess I will say. I'm sure there's some weird union rules about the role of executive producer on shows like this.
Mm-hmm.
But there's 6 separate on-screen segments that say executive producer. So there's like executive producers, it names 3 people. There's a different set of executive producers naming 4 different people. Then there's another one that names 2 people. And there's 3 individual executive producer credits. And so
yeah.
There's something there that like these people's work is separate from each other. Like they're all executive producers, but in different ways, which is nice. You see Matt Vogel and Eric Jacobson also executive producers, but it's just very interesting to see, one of the writers is a producer, the director is a producer, Sabrina Carpenter, Matt Vogel, Eric Jacobson, all executive producers, but separate from each other. The Disney people are the first list. And then Seth Rogen's team is like the second list. And so it's just, I feel like there's a story there or like a legal union kind of thing happening, but I don't know enough to read into it.
Seth, come on the show. Explain.
But we also get to see a bunch of the puppeteers' names. Obviously, the main crew of Bill Beretta, Dave Goelz, Eric Jacobson, Peter Linz, David Rudman, and Matt Vogel. But we also see that in this was Stephanie DeBruzzo, Ryan Dillon, Alice Dinian, Bradley Freeman Jr., and a whole bunch of other people from Sesame Street, from Fraggle Rock, from so many other projects. It seems like everyone got to come together and work on this together.
I hope this isn't just a weird footnote in Muppet history. I hope we're wrong. In 2 years, we're like, first season of The Muppet Show was a great success. Right. That'd be nice.
I would love to be wrong about that. I do think this was great. I do think they should make more. I understand, the media climate right now is super freaking weird. And I'm sure making this wasn't easy. So making 10, 15 more of them would be really hard. But, if you're out there listening, Disney, we do want more. And I am sure we are not alone.
I'm just very curious to see what the reception is by people who aren't obsessed with this like we are.
Yeah, and I hope we haven't been too overly negative throughout this, because while we may have critiques, we critique.
We watched
with
it
love.
4 times. What do you want from us?
Yes, we happily watched it.
This is
4
what
times.
we're supposed to do. We're sickos. It was good. I liked it. It was really fun. Raw's head looked the wrong shape, but other than that, it's great.
Well, Sam, before we get out of here, did you have any time to watch any non-Muppet things this week while you were watching this 4 times?
4 times. Yeah, I watched The Running Man, the new one.
Okay.
With big smiley guy.
Glenn Powell,
thank you. And it was fine. It's a Edgar Wright movie, and I usually associate those with being very like style forward.
Right.
I mean, yeah, Scott Pilgrim, etc. Baby Driver.
Shaun of the Dead, Baby Driver, all those things.
Shaun of the Dead. Right. And very rhythmic. And I feel like this one did it every now and then, but didn't quite lean into his thing. And it almost felt like he was trying to be like, look, I can make normal movies too. It was like fun and violent and maybe not quite action-packed enough. And I know it changed the ending. And the ending was the part where I was like, I hated that. But they also changed the ending of like Dr. Sleep, and I hated that too. So Stephen King movies can't get the right ending for some reason. And then that's always the worst part, when they divert from, like The Shining aside, when they diverge from the Stephen King story. Man, then it gets bad.
I really would have liked to see that original ending of Dr. Sleep from the book. It's real good.
And the story of Dr. Sleep doesn't support the ending of the movie. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
No, I liked that movie. I like that book. But you're right. The ending of that definitely should have been what the book was, or at least would have felt, I don't know, better. Instead of like, what they really wanted to do was just be like, look at it. It's the hotel.
Right.
Keep looking at it.
Right. Which is fun. And it was like their the legacy of that book and the legacy of that movie are so different in places where those overlap is kind of interesting. But
yeah, you have to make a sequel to a movie that was a sequel to a book that is also very different from that book.
And the movie is 10 times like everybody in the world knows that movie.
Right.
And everybody in the world knows the book, but everybody knows the movie.
Right. But you don't want to make a sequel to the made-for-TV version that Stephen King had made after he hated Stanley Kubrick's version.
Yeah, you don't want to do that, definitely. But it was fun. I liked Running Man. I thought it was going to be a bigger deal than it was, and like I thought I would like it better, but it was fun. And I love Glenn Powell. I mean, you can't watch a Glenn Powell movie and not have a good time, I think. How about you?
I have not had time to watch much. I think basically I've just watched some episodes of Abbott Elementary is all I've been watching to keep up with that. But honestly, that's
hasn't been that long since we talked. So
no, we talked a few days ago.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of Muppet Show to watch.
And maybe it gave me an itch to go back and watch some of my old favorites.
Yeah, if I had more time, I kind of wanted to go back just to sort of get that feeling to see, does this feel like my memories of watching the Muppet Show,
right?
But does it actually feel like the Muppet Show,
right?
Which is not as important, honestly. Like I think giving people the feeling of watching the Muppet Show is more important at this point because most people don't go back and revisit the original when they watch a reboot. So I think they did a good job.
Yeah, there's like white noise episodes of the Muppet Show in the middle, which this was. Then there's the like truly fantastic ones, like the pigs take over the theater, they go to the train station,
right?
And then there's the ones where racist things happen. So
yeah, well, and I think the thing is like with those ones where the format of the show is broken, like you couldn't do that for the first show back.
No, absolutely,
you can't break.
This had
you
to
have
be
to
a
give
white
people
noise
what
episode.
they want. You have to give them the nice comfort meal.
Right.
And I think this did a great job of being a great comfort meal. Well, what are we watching next time? It's the thing we told you last time that we'd be watching next time.
Yeah.
Because next time we will finally be discussing the very last episode of the Jim Henson Hour called Food. And because we also want to discuss this time period in Jim Henson's career near the end of his life, we wanted an expert to join us for that episode. So we are going to be joined by Jim Henson biographer, Brian J. Jones. So we need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to Kermitment.com for all Kermitment needs and review this podcast on your platform of choice. Wherever you're listening to it right now, just go hit the stars, all 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get in touch with us, you can do so at our email address, which is mail@kermitment.com, or follow us on social media at kermitmentpod or at kermitment.com on Blue Sky. And you can also follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.